Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the newest episode of Generations of the Game podcast. I have with me, as always, the point guard, the Magic Johnson of this show. Introduce yourself, good brother.
What's good, JP? What's good, world? Will Lyons still repping the den out here with the heen, like Magic Johnson, like my brother JP said.
The backwards pass, the back
Yeah, man.
coming down the court, driving the lane, dishing it off, looking the other way. Definitely the greatest point guard in my lifetime I ever seen is the Magic Man. But also, not about the Magic Man right now, but we do have somebody on here that loves the college that Magic Johnson went to. We'll introduce our guests.
All right, man. We have the number one Michigan State Spartan fan, been repping since day one, and a friend of the show. We've had him on numerous times. One of the most knowledgeable, and active hoops content creators around. Our brother Kev Lucas. Kev, welcome back, brother.
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me, man. Will, JP, Generation of the Game fan base. I appreciate y'all, man. How y'all doing?
We're doing good, man. This is your home, brother. You always got to keep the table here. You know that.
No, I appreciate that for sure, man. I'm glad to be back. Got to be
Yes,
chopping up.
bro.
It's always a great time, when we got family on.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Indeed. So we're going to jump into these topics. Well, Will, you got some great news today. As we return, SGA is coming back into the rotation.
Yes,
How do you
sir.
feel about that?
I mean, of course, it's a great feeling to have, the reigning MVP and, one of the top two candidates in the MVP race this year, coming back. But to be honest with you, man, I wasn't glad that he was injured, but it was no better time for him to be out because, some of the team was able to get some reps that's much needed. I think that I don't want to call people casuals all the time, but people that aren't as familiar with Casey Wallace, they thought that he is more of a Lou Dort type of player, and defensively, he's there, but he got way more offense. You know what I'm saying? He can set the table, he can score, and we've seen that. And I think it's good bump for him. The other Jalen Williams, Jay Will, and some of the other guys, man, that they typically wouldn't get. They get minutes, but not like this. So, being featured, this is the type of stuff that can be the difference between you possibly repeating, because guys now got some real reps, in the fire, or the lights being too bright for them. God forbid somebody goes down in the playoffs.
Right. Kev, what's your thoughts on SGA returning to OKC? What do you see for their future now that the main man in the reigning league MVP is back?
I mean, yeah, man, he's easily, I think, a top 3 player in the league right now. He's one of the most unstoppable offensive forces in the game. I think he's a great overall team defender, too. And he's just, of course, the head of the snake for OKC, right? As you mentioned, reigning champion, scoring champion, MVP. It's just what he does. He wins at a high level. He is OKC at this point, if we're being honest. I know he's from Canada, but he's just completely resurrected that franchise. And when he's in the lineup again, he's one of the best players in the world. So I think they have a great chance to get back to the finals and win the finals. Obviously, it's been a minute since teams have repeated, but they're more than capable, I think. And as Will mentioned, I mean, you just have other guys that while SGA was down, they can seize the opportunity, seize the moment, like a Casey Wallace, like Will said, who could just go off for any given night, right? So I think they just have players on players. So yeah, I'm glad SGA is back because he's easily one of the best shows in the game when he's on the floor.
Right. I definitely agree, man. And also another key piece they have that they've added to this team is also Jared McCain as well. I mean, he gives them even more firepower.
Yes, sir.
Especially with his shooting, man. In the last couple games, he's been shooting the lights out.
Bro,
So
listen, the Sixers, for the sake of the Philly fan base mental health, they better never make another trade with OKC again, bro. Like, I'm telling you,
bruh. I mean, really, they traded Jared McCain for a late first round pick, right? But they also got now. Guess who the backup guard is now off the bench? Campaign. Are you serious? Campaign over Jared McCain?
Yeah, bro, that's a
I
misstep
mean,
for
look,
sure.
Campaign is a veteran. He's a stable guy. He's good, coming off the bench and everything. But come on, man, do you think he's really better than Jared McCain? He can do the things that Jared McCain can do? But
Not
people,
at all.
if people forget that Jared McCain, if he didn't get injured, he might have been rookie of the year last year. It's like, come on, man. Like really, you make a trade like this?
Man, listen, Jerry McCain, he been, a real like lethal offensive weapon, man. He was the only dude when I think back over the case of 4 years that, gave DJ Wagner some problems. You know what I'm saying? Him and Dylan Harper. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he's consistently been this player, but I think that the Philly front office jumped the gun. VJ is an awesome young player, but you need depth, especially in Philly where people get hurt
Right.
every day. And he's rounding back into form after being out with a serious injury. So
Mhm,
to pull the
mhm.
trigger on that trade like that, I get trying to sell high sometimes, but that was the wrong move.
Yeah. Well, one thing about Jared McCain, don't forget what he said to when he played against DJ. He shot that 3-pointer, put up three towards the Camden crowd. He's like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that." Remember when he
Mhm.
said that in the
Yeah,
Oh
video?
that
yeah,
bar.
He
he
said,
said
"Oh,
it's a
maybe I
different
should have done
environment.
that."
Yo, real quick, JP, before we move on from OKC, I just want to say one
Yeah,
more thing, man.
yeah, of
It's
course.
it's great to see Nikola Topic back out there, man. It's bigger than basketball.
Mhm.
He was
Yeah.
fighting for his life. The fact that he is healthy enough, to where they say he's in remission and he's back hooping. Shout out to that young man because at the end of the day, if he never dribbled, again, it's irrelevant, man. We just glad that he's here.
Facts.
Yeah. Yes, indeed, indeed, man. That cancer battle is no joke, man. I've seen it. I've seen it with my family. With my dad and everything. So yeah, it's definitely no joke. Kev, did you want to add something on to this as well? Did you have anything else to say, brother?
No, I think Will nailed it. To be honest, again, for him to go through that and bounce back and to get back on the floor is a testimony in itself. So yeah, definitely glad to see Nikola Topic back out there and playing for the Thunder, man. He's a hell of a player too. He's one of the best players. I
Mhm.
believe he's from Serbia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
So he's a
sir.
problem. Yeah.
Just the more firepower, man. The rich keep getting richer and more firepower.
Second best passer out of Serbia.
Oh yeah, that the number one passer, he's top five all time,
Oh yeah,
easy,
that's facts.
easy top five all time. Yeah, man. But now we're going to move on to your nemesis. We're going to move on to your nemesis real quick. The San Antonio Spurs. They are rolling. I believe they won what 10, yeah, 10 in a row, and
Hmm.
they went to Detroit and stopped Detroit the other night. Um, I'm gonna tell y'all something now. I think that San Antonio might have the best trio of perimeter players in the NBA right now. When you look at Castle, when you look at Harper, when you look at Fox, they might have the best. And of course, they got that big monster in the middle who can just shut your team down from getting in the paint. Since Kev is the guest, Kev, how do you feel about the Spurs and them going forward?
I mean, as you mentioned, me personally, I'm a huge advocate for guard play, right? I think guard play wins you high level games,
Mhm.
competitive games. And when you have three guards, as the three guards that you mentioned between Castle, Harper, and Fox, you can do a lot of things. And that's not even mentioning, again, Wemby, who's probably top 10, close to the top five in the league right now, too, who can do literally everything on the floor. He's contesting every shot at the rim. He's contesting, he barely having to take a step out the paint to contest a corner three. You know what I'm saying? He's a complete different player, something I don't think we've really seen before. So I think the Spurs have something and they can compete. And I definitely think they can get to the finals this year, if I'm being honest. And they're going to take their bumps and bruises. But this core right now is elite, in my opinion. I think, shout out to Jersey's finest, Dylan Harper is only going to get better and better and better. I think the more that he gets better, it's just going to put the Spurs on a completely different level. And it's not going to be too many teams that can see them. So I'm excited for the future of San Antonio. I know they fans have been waiting a minute since obviously Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu, but they arrived, and they're gonna be around for a minute too.
I don't before I turn this over to Will. I don't think Wemby will ever reach his highest scoring potential he could reach. Like I believe that Wemby could have could have some years where he's averaging between 30 and 35 a game. But with all this firepower they have, I think he'll put up maybe like Tim Duncan numbers. Tim Duncan like numbers, where he'll be dominant in the playoffs during the regular season. He'll get you 24, maybe to 25 a game because look, we know Fox is capable of scoring 20. We know Castle's on his way capable of scoring 20, and we know Harper is on his way to score 20. So, there's going to be some sacrifices with the scoring aspect of it, but the defensive impact will always be there. But as far as him putting up like maybe near Kareem numbers or Wilt numbers, which I think he could do in the right system. But with this system here, being that you got three other players who can score as well, he's going to be very unselfish in this system. Yeah, so Will, go ahead, brother.
So the Spurs, like they definitely gave OKC some problems this year, man. They're growing up. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, they're ahead of schedule. I will say that. Let me lead by saying I'm an OKC fan, but I'm a basketball fan first. So I love listen. Whenever I get a chance to watch the Spurs, I do. Because
Exciting.
that group. I rock with Fox, Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? Dillon, Jersey. Castle is just a dog, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he plays with a mean streak that you don't see from a guard very often in today's game. He just he's just a Georgia kid, man. Like he from the mud, and he's going to show you every time. And his offense, like, he looks like Stephon Castle from high school because UConn, was such a balanced and talented team. You didn't get to see what he was for real. We knew, but like it wasn't a part of what they needed from him. And that showed a lot. The fact that he could buy into a role. You know what I'm saying, at UConn, and credit to him. And credit to Hurley for getting him to buy in. But bro, like these guys are dangerous. And what your point about Wemby's offense, I do think that Wemby has another gear, what I'm saying, that he can get to. Because Wemby's still not even playing like his most simplified version of his offense. Wemby still likes the threes. Not that he can't shoot them, but he still likes the threes. And some tough baskets with the type of skills he has and the natural advantage of his height. There's 1-2 dribble pull up or just shooting over the top. In the mid range is unguardable. Being near the basket is unguardable. And he's getting there. Like he's soaking the game up. He's a student. So I think that 30 for Wemby's not out of the question. Also because of the way the salary cap is now structured. Like, I just don't think they can keep everybody. And I don't even mean like, I'm not even talking about Dillon and Castle, like somebody, it might be Fox, what I'm saying, Keldon, Vassell, like, they're going to have to do some restructuring of that team, moving forward as guys, second and third contracts start to come into play. But so there will be room, for him to have like that, real statistical leap because we've already seen growth in his game. But bro, he's easily, off the top of my head, like probably top 5, if not 3 most impactful, big man defenders I've seen. Like, so for me, I'm not, I can't, like, I know the history. So, we know what Bill Russell and Wilt and guys would like that were. But as far as my own eyes, I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Honorable mention Ben Wallace, but I got to go Dwight, and then Wemby is right there. And I also go honorable mention Gobert. I know social media likes to give him a hard time, but you don't get that many defensive player of the years, what I'm saying, for being a slouch. At the end of the day, what I'm saying, you watch him play. He defends at a high level, and honestly, he's still defending at a high level because he's part of the reason for sure that Mini is doing what they're doing. He's one of those guys, man, like of that cloth. He might not have a point, but he gonna hit the boards and he gonna protect that basket. And every team needs that at the end of the day. So, it's always gonna be a role for him in this league.
I'm gonna say for me, the top defenders I've seen them. I would say Rodman. Olajuwon in my lifetime, Rodman, Olajuwon. See, I saw later Kareem. I didn't see Milwaukee Kareem or Kareem early with the Lakers, but I would say my three all time right now that I've seen in my lifetime. Some people be like, "Oh, Jay, you're a prisoner of the moment." Nah, this kid's different. It'll be Ben Wallace is up in the top five. If I had the top five, yeah. But since we're talking top three, I'm going Olajuwon, Rodman, and Wemby. That's who I'm going with, man. Because Wemby is the best shot blocker I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest with you. If the game was more inside out than outside in, Wemby might be averaging close to between 8 to 10 block shots a game because he'd be shutting that shit down every night. You know, and I mean, it's just not only is it the shot blocking, but the altering of the shots. I mean, I think the other night, who they played? Was it Detroit or somebody? He altered like 12 shots. I mean, man, this guy is something that we've never seen before, offensively or defensively. And to make a point about the offense, Will, you might be right with the 30 points and stuff, definitely. But we have to remember he's only 22 years old as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, matter of fact, he just turned 22. What was Kareem and Wilt doing at 22? Not comparing them to him, but I'm just talking about the dominance. Oh, man, excuse me, y'all. Sorry about that.
It was cooking them Jim Crow defenders, bro.
Oh, man. Get out of here. You know, there's people out there that think that Wilt didn't play against no athletic players. And the athletes were athletic. It's just like I always tell people. Look, if you put these players today back there, they would play the same style Wilt and them would. If you put Wilt and them today in this modern era, they would play just the same style. It's just different eras. That's why I don't like
a Bill Russell jump over a dude on a fast break.
Yeah, exactly. How often do you see that today? You know, Wilt with a 48-inch, allegedly 47, 48-inch, what do you call that? Leaping ability, vertical. Yeah. You know, I mean, they were just as athletic as anybody. But, you know, and that's why I don't like saying top 5 players, top 5 this, top 5 that. Because I'm going to be honest with you, man. That whole Jordan-LeBron debate, that shit is dead like Jay-Z and Nas debate, man. I get tired. I got tired of that. And it's the same thing with Jordan and LeBron. They're both great with what they've done. Mm-hmm. You know? But moving on to the NBA, keep on going. Let's talk about the East real quick. We're going to start off with the Sixers, man. Man, look, everything comes down to the big man. Can he Will laughing. Everything comes down to the big man. Can he stay healthy? You got the perimeter players. You got Maxey. You got VJ. But it all comes down to, can the big man stay healthy? He's put up some big numbers this year when he's played. But can he keep it up for the rest of the year? Kev, what do you think about the Sixers and their prognosis for the future?
If you know me, I've made fun of the Sixers for a long time just because I feel like they're damn near cursed, right? It's like they get all the pieces, but they could just never fully put it together on the floor for some reason. And when I look at this Embiid tenure as a Sixer, I know he's been there for a minute now, is that he is incredibly skilled and talented. There's no doubt about that. But we all know it boils down to his health. When he's on the floor, he's a player. But I don't know what it is. He just has not been able to take care of his body. A part of that I think is just bad luck. But I do think a part of that is not taking care of himself. But it's just tough. And as you mentioned, it starts and ends with him. I mean, again, Max, BJ, they can take you places. They can get you out the first round possibly. But if you're trying to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, which they haven't been to since AI, you need Embiid to be healthy. You need him to be competing at a high level at that too. Because that's the thing too. I mean, he's never really been fully healthy, but he's been mostly healthy in certain occasions. And for him, that's healthier than the average player. And he's been on these playoff floors and he's underperformed. Like they should have beat the Celtics a few years ago when they took him to 7 games, but they flopped. And so I don't know. I could just never, ever have any real expectations for the Sixers because they'll have all the right ingredients, but they just will never know how to put it together. So I don't know. They're a fun team to watch, but they're never a threat for some reason.
That's a good analysis, man. You know, they have, they can't stay healthy. It seems like, as far as the B goes, yes, he's had a great year. We do have to give him some grace, man, with that knee problem and stuff. However, I think a lot of it had to do when Embiid was a lot younger too. I don't think he took care of himself the way, I could be wrong, but but it seems like he's taking his health very seriously now. And we got to remember, Some people will just have injury, just have injury history. They can't stay healthy. We see that with a lot of great players and stuff. But we'll see what happens going towards the playoffs and stuff. He seems like he's taking care of himself, and everything. So we'll see what's going on with that. Will, do you have anything about the Sixers and stuff and the VJ Maxey backcourt and Embiid up front?
Oh yeah, man. That backcourt is extremely dynamic. I think that VJ was another player that was in a situation where if you didn't see him in high school and you only watched him at Baylor, you might not have really known, really what he had, like in as far as skill set. We all knew he was an athlete, but he hit the ground running, I would say more than most thought, just to be honest. And Maxey's taken, multiple leaps, since he's been the Sixers. And the funny thing is, with having Kev on here, Kev being a Heat fan, I remember I thought Maxey was going to slip to the Heat, and honestly, I wanted him to because I know the organization's reputation. But bro been cooking, in Philly, man. Tonight he just, I believe, tied, AI or broke AI's record, the most threes in Sixer history. And he did it in like half the games, which speaks to the difference in eras, of course. But the Sixers, they on paper, man, and roster wise, they still have a chance to make some noise in the East if Embiid is able to be out there, man. He's probably the most skilled from an all-around perspective offensive center in the game, outside of the Joker, that we've seen, and JP, I do agree with your point. I think that early on, the conditioning may not have been the best. I think it was like a back and forth. Sometimes, he wasn't in shape, so he got hurt. Other times he's coming off an injury, so he's not in shape. And it was just like this continuous cycle, and part of it is luck as well. But if he can be healthy, enough, because he don't have to be the featured guy anymore. But when it's time, like, we look, man, it's 5 minutes left. Former MVP, take us home. You know what I'm saying? They need him, when the game slows down. Paul George, I pray Paul George is good, with all the different discourse around why he was really suspended. But I will say that because of his injury history, this could be a blessing in disguise for the Sixers. You know what I'm saying? PG come back healthy, rested, just in time for that run. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, that could be a good situation. You know what I'm saying? But the Sixers, I'm not out on them, but I gotta see it, man. At this stage, because it's been too many years, where I thought, all right, man, they finally made this move, it's about to happen, and it didn't. But, I'm not a Sixer fan, but I'm not a hater either. Like the city, the league, it just feels better. You know what I'm saying, when they're good. So I hope they can make some noise. For sure.
Right. You made some very, very valid points, brother. Definitely. I agree with everything that you said, man. But let's move on now to the beasts of the East right now. The leaders of the East, the Detroit Pistons. Bruh, I've been trying to tell people this for a while. I saw it coming. Now everybody wants to get on the bandwagon. I've been saying when Cade Cunningham gets healthy, and he's completely healthy, Cade Cunningham is going to be special. And you're starting to see the specialness now with him, with the passing, with the shooting. And you know what? I'm going to tell you another part of his game that people don't respect. He's a pretty good defender, but also as well, he can lead, he can get up. He can get up. I'm not saying he's an elite leaper, but he has enough athletic ability where he can rise on you and bang on you anytime. But just seeing the Detroit Pistons, and of course, got to give credit as well to Jalen Duren, man. Jalen Duren's been playing out of his mind this year. He's only going to get better. I hope Jaden Ivey could get healthy, because that could be another presence for him as well.
Oh, bro,
You
he
know,
got traded.
when?
At the trade deadline, he got traded to Chicago.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't
on
know
the
that.
Bulls
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. How's he doing with the Bulls? 'Cause I've been paying attention to the Bulls.
now, struggling.
Yeah, he's having a time, man. He don't have that athleticism, that set him apart
Right.
right now. Hopefully he can bounce back, man. But he's having a little
Next
bit of a
year.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, Cade Cunningham, in my opinion, he's definitely one of the top 5, 7 players in the league, man. I mean, he's amazing. A 6'8" point guard, could do it all. Jalen Dureen, that's one of your big. Oh, and Thompson. How can I forget about Thompson? That's going to be your future big three right there. Definitely. So what do you feel about Detroit Pistons there, Kev?
Yeah, man, I feel like they're pretty much Bad Boys 3.0, right? I mean, they play a fun brand of basketball, and they're not the most talented team, but they play rugged. They can get you up and down in the trenches, and they play their style of play, and they having fun doing it. And I think when you look at Cade's a walking mismatch. He's one of those players where it don't matter who you put on him, he's gonna bully them. Like if you put a smaller guard on him, he's going down to the post. You put a bigger guard on him, he's blowing right past him. You put a big on him, operating in pick and roll. So it's really no real flaws to Cade's game, and I'm glad that he's flourishing because, again, I mean, you look back, he was one of the top players in the class of 2020. You mentioned Jalen Duren out of Philly before, out of there. He was the number one player in the class of 2022. It was him and Imani Bates. Like, they have talent. And then Asar Thompson is starting to figure it out as just like a glue piece that can guard everybody, make the game disruptive, flip games on his head, pass the ball. So they just have a lot of fun pieces. And then you add a Tobias Harris, who's been a solid vet for them. I know Tobias Harris got a lot of criticism when he was in Philly, but
Yes,
he's in the
yes.
perfect spot with them because the expectations aren't as high. And of course, I don't believe he's on that max contract that he had in Philly. So you have that, in the tuck. And yeah, man, shout out to Coach Bickerstaff. I think he's just done a great job, kind of reviving this program and reviving this city and reviving the Pistons. And again, as Will kind of said with the Sixers, when the Pistons are good, it makes the league an entirely better place, right? So I love it. I do think that they'll make a deep run in the NBA playoffs, but I just don't know. I think they still need one more like dude next to Cade. I think if they get another like all-star piece that's a wing, preferably, there'll be a problem. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Pistons continue to just thrive.
I think Jalen Dureen is it could be a solid second option because I think he could be that 2010 guy. I think what the Pistons really need is maybe one or two more perimeter shooters who could shoot the three. I think once they get that, they could beat anybody. They could battle with anybody. I think the lack of consistent perimeter shooting is kind of hurting them a little bit, But once they get that guy, maybe in the off season or somewhere around there, somebody might be buying out by time playoff time comes around and stuff. I think that would really help them as well, But I don't know who they can get on the buyout because the buyouts are basically over, but in case somebody wants to release a shooter or something like that that can happen. But they're one or two perimeter shooters away, I think, from really, really being up there with the San Antonios and the OKC Thunder and teams like that. Will, what do you think about the Detroit Pistons?
I mean, man, look, the Pistons are back. You know what I mean? I think there's a blend of some people that think this season's a fluke, and then there are some people that feel like they're for real. I think they're a legitimate Eastern Conference contender now. Cade is great, man. Like he's not good, he's great, and he's young. To me, Cade, I agree, Kev. He doesn't have a flaw. To me, Cade is a weird player, and we don't really do the comps like that. But he's like half Steve Smith and half Grant Hill. He's more athletic than Grant Hill. More athletic. No. Hold on. It was a mistake.
Okay.
More athletic than Steve Smith. Not as athletic as Grant Hill. You know what I'm saying? But he plays and exploits the back to the basket advantages that he has, like Steve Smith. But he picks his smaller defenders apart and blows by like Grant. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I meant. Yeah, if that's what I meant, saying he's more athletic than Grant, I was definitely wild. That was a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, y'all gonna have to find another host because I don't deserve to be talking hoops at that point.
They were going to come after you, man. Right. They were coming after you. But I think
best athletes ever, man, for sure.
Oh man, Grant Hill would have been. He's already in the Hall of Fame, but he would have been one of the all-time great players
Oh, I
if
mean,
he
like
was
pure
healthy.
athleticism. Like he's up there. Like
Oh
that
yeah,
first
he
step, that
reminded me.
vertical.
Yeah, he might be like a Dr. J type player because they have a lot of similarities to each other. But I was going to say this: I think Cade Cunningham is what Ben Simmons was supposed to be, in my opinion. Even though Ben's a little more taller, the only reason why I say that is I think Cade's a better scorer than Ben Simmons. That's where I think that separates him from Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons could rebound and pass the ball as good as anybody at what 6'9", 6'10". But I think Cade's a better scorer than Ben Simmons. But I
Man,
think, huh?
I gotta disagree, bro. Just because K's always been a scorer, like Ben, like he scored, but it was like by virtue of his advantages, at the high school level and
Yeah.
even in college. But like to me, like Ben is more like the highest case, best case scenario for the Thompson twins. Like I don't think him and K should be compared.
Yeah, I think Ben could score when he wanted to score. To me, he should have been more like a Magic Johnson type player. Ben Simmons could have gave you 20, 21 a night. That's what his highest peak would probably be like 20 to 22 points a night, 10, 11, 10, 11 assists, and 9 to 10 rebounds. He was a walking triple double. That's what I think Ben Simmons at his peak could have been. I know Cade's giving you what, 26, 27 a night, 9 and
And like
8.
dimes.
Yeah, 9 dimes, 8 rebounds. So their stats are similar as far as the rebounding and the assists. The scoring definitely goes to Cade, you know. But Detroit Pistons, man, they're tough, man. And come playoff time, they're gonna be tough too. They got that enforcer that's there, be charging at everybody.
Sure, man. Bro, his game grew too, man. Like, listen, see when you it's something to it when teams buy into like the personality of the team buys into them what embodies the city. That culture, in Detroit, that culture in Miami, you know what I'm saying? Even before the burner accounts, what Houston was looking like, you know what I'm saying? OKC, that kind of like blue collar.
Hold on. What am I missing with Houston and the burning accounts? What's going on?
Oh man, look it up, man. KD was tweeting some crazy stuff from some burner accounts, man, about like his teammates.
Is that confirmed? Is that confirmed or?
I mean,
Yeah, I have to look into it. We'll talk about that. I look into it. Yo, he's funny, man. He's one of the funniest players in the league, man. I saw him the other day when a fan was heckling him. He told the dude, he's like, "Shut the fuck up, you fat motherfucker." That's what KD told him.
He's a wild dude, man. Listen, man, them DMV cats is different, man.
The DMV cats is different, bro. KD told him, and then he went over after the game is over to explain to the guy about the nuances of the NBA. And he's like, "No, I'm not apologizing. I'm just telling you how the game is played." That's what he told him after the game was over.
Now,
KD,
real quick, not to
What's
get
up?
off topic, but like with Kevin Durant, I will say though, like it really shows how corny a lot of people are online because
Yeah.
KD really will take time out of his day and because he loves hoops, he will talk hoops with anybody online.
Yeah.
He's jumped in spaces with people. He's goes back and forth tweeting with people, and like people just try to like heckle him. Like at the end of the day, if you have the time, or the opportunity to chop it up with, one of the greatest to ever lace him up, bro, like why would you use it like that? You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, why would you use it like that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
You talking about one of the all-time great players, and also, in my opinion, it's not maybe in my opinion, one of the top 5 pure scorers in the history of the league. You talking about that, and you dummies out there in the Twitter universe and other universe, you want to sit up there and talk trash. You can't even hit a basket on a little Nerf basketball set. You talking to one of the all-time great players. You need to stop that. If anything, you should learn from him because who could teach you better than KD? and he's one of the all-time greats. So I like when KD cracks back at people, man. These idiots need to stop that nonsense.
At this point, man, social media got people's minds so warped, bro, that KD is somewhat underrated, which is crazy.
Man, that's crazy. KD one of the all-time great players, bro. Like, what are y'all talking about? Now, it's crazy.
Real quick, JP, I know we about to leave the NBA talk, but I gotta ask you one question, because this is what makes generations great, man. Social media discourse. Somebody, I think it was Chandler Parsons, he put out his top 5 small forward list of all time. And I don't remember the full list, but I know that Scottie Pippen was on there, KD was on there, and Dr. J was not. So I just want to get your thoughts on Dr. J being omitted and why that is false.
Chandler Parsons out of his damn mind. Dr. J's easily one of the top 5 small forwards of all time. He basically see, and this is where I have a problem with people. People talk about Magic and Bird saved the NBA. It was Doc up there too. Doc basically saved two leagues. He was the ABA, and he helped save the NBA. Everybody loved Doc. Doc, in my opinion, here's my top 5 small forwards. First of all, I don't care what Chandler and Parsons say. Man. Some cats just be saying stuff to be talking. But anyway, in no order, it's LeBron, Bird, KD, who's that? LeBron, Bird, KD, Doc, and Elgin Baylor. Those are the top 5 small forwards of all time right there. I mean, that's the list. That's it. Those are the top 5s. Like I said, KD, like I said, no order. I don't do 1 through 5, whatever. But you ask me who the 5 greatest small forwards are? Definitely Bird, KD, Doc, Elgin Baylor, and who did I say the other one was? Dang, I forgot that quick. I lost my mind.
Yeah, Bron, KD, Doc.
Oh, Elgin Baylor. Yeah, Elgin Baylor. They're the top 5 small forwards of all time. That's the list. That's it. I mean, Scottie Pippen was a great player. Don't get me twisted. Scottie Pippen is definitely one of the best players of all time. But I mean, defensively, he might be. LeBron was a beast defensively.
So is Kawhi.
Yo. If it wasn't for injuries, Kawhi would be up on this list as well. But he still was there, man. The year he's having is phenomenal. But those are the top 5. I would take Kawhi over Scottie. Then I probably would put Scottie at 7.
Scottie can't, in my opinion, like no disrespect to Scottie, but Scottie can never enter the top 5. Like the top 5 is for guys that was option 1. Like, and it's as simple as that.
I mean, defensively, Scottie was offensively too. He could score what he wanted to, but he wasn't a scorer
like at the top. 1, 2, however you want to slice it. Defensively, but
defensively, yeah, definitely defensively. Scottie might be number 1 defensively, but as far as all-time top 5, nah. I might take Kawhi. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I might take Kawhi. Yeah, you know what? I'm taking Kawhi over him too.
I would. He was a 1 on a championship, on multiple. Well, he was the 1 for sure on 1 championship team, and he was the Finals MVP on another great squad. So
he carried Toronto to that title in 2019.
He was hooping for the Spurs too. He had LeBron and Hill.
Kev, what do you think about Chandler Parsons in this list? And I'm not discrediting Chandler. I know he played in the NBA and stuff, and he's giving his opinion. But I'm saying, man, I just think it's nonsense that you don't have Dr. J on your top 5 small forward list of all time. That's crazy to me. But anyway, Kev, go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, Chandler Parsons is tripping. I mean, let's be honest, it's Chandler Parsons, right? I mean, he was nice, but he's talking crazy right now. Dr. J, I just think impact-wise, I know obviously I'm not old enough to have witnessed him live, but just going back and actually watching, I just think the grace that he played with, the athleticism, he just had that star aura, to be honest with you guys, and he played at a high level. So I don't know. I feel like he's got to easily be – I think I agree with your list for the most part, to be honest with you. I mean, Kawhi is definitely up there, but, yeah, I mean, Dr. J is right in there. So I don't know why he's talking crazy, because there's no reason for that. Dr. J is a legend and stamped in the game.
Yep. And you know what? That's how ironic, Will. You just reminded me. The doctor turned 76 years. Yeah, I can't believe Doc's 76 on February 22nd. So
That's
definitely happy
impressive.
birthday, Doc, man. And I'm gonna tell you a quick Dr. J story. I met Dr. J. First off, how I got into basketball was because of Dr. J. I remember one time my dad had a newspaper open, a sports section open. And I'm going back to 1976 when he came with the Sixers. Don't ask me why I remember this at 4 years old. But I remember I saw this guy on the cover. I said, Dad, who's that guy right there? And he said, oh, that's the new guy the Sixers got, Dr. J. I said, I don't know why I saw the picture with this big ass afro and stuff. I said, well, that's my favorite player right there. So that's when Doc became my favorite player, man, of all time. He's my favorite player of all time. And I got a chance to meet Doc. I met Doc twice as a child. When I was 8 years old. Yeah, they both times was when I was 8 years old after the game. Because after the game, the Sixers had a ramp. They used to come down to other teams and stuff. And you got a chance to meet the players and stuff back behind the arena. And Doc was cool, man. I remember the first time I met him, man. It was like, and I don't mean to say it like this, but he was like meeting God, man. It was like, wow, man, I'm meeting Doc, and everything. And then I had his book. It was at 12, 13 years ago. He had a book out, which I still have. He signed it for me, and I finally got a chance to give Doc his flowers, man. I told him, I was like, thank you for everything you did. I said, because of you, I love basketball. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't love basketball as much as I do. And, he thanked me and every day. But Doc has some of the biggest hands I've ever seen, man. His hand literally went up past my hand, like to the wrist area. That's how big his hands were. He has the biggest hands I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, damn, this man got like mitts on or something on his hands, man. Those are his actual hands, though. It was crazy. But yeah, man, shout outs to Doc. And Doc, you will always be my favorite player of all time, regardless. But anyway, let's move on.
Hold on, man. I gotta get my take on Dr. J, man. Come on
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry. I thought you.
Man, you gotta, damn, man. Man, you see that kid, man? Damn.
I'm sorry.
Damn. I know I wasn't alive, man, but damn. It's like, no, that's all I love, bro. No, but real quick, man, Dr. J, he's in the conversation no matter which way you look at it, because Dr. J you got to factor in the ABA and the NBA. Technically, Dr. J is a player that saved both leagues, with his popularity, his star power. We know that Wilt was was a celebrity of his time, but from what I've seen, and this includes up to date, outside of Allen Iverson from my era, Dr. J is the coolest player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he played like 40, 50 years ago. It was just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fro, he was just the coolest dude, man. The linen suits, everything. You never saw him with a bad fit. Even now, he always,
classy
super
individual,
fly,
yeah.
classy dude. The style of play, he lived at the rim. You know what I'm saying? Like we talked about, we know that there were athletes in every era, but Dr. J is like the first guy, where it's like a regular thing, for me, seeing that footage of him like dunking on dudes. It just seemed like every play. Like, to be honest with you, Dr. J had so many highlights dunking on people that I was grown before I actually saw like a full game replay and actually saw his jump shot. Like, that's how many highlights he has. You know what I mean? You see the dunks, you see the iconic layup from around the back of the backboard.
Yeah, the greatest shot I've ever seen from anybody. I've never seen nobody do that.
Facts, and then like let's just talk numbers, since that's what the internet loves, right?
Yeah.
Counting ABA and NBA, Dr. J has 4 MVPs. You know what I'm saying? He led the league in scoring 3 times. He's an Iron Man. He played in the NBA ABA seasons. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 84 game play seasons, 180 no, and then he has 2 seasons with 82 games, one with 81, and every other one is in the 70s except for his final season. And then on top of it, he's a 16-time All-Star. That's not even counting the all league selections. Like, look, man, like, there's a reason why he's a lot of your favorite players coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like Dr. J is the reason a whole like generation of dudes wanted to hoop, and it's as simple as that. So we're not gonna feed into social media hot takes and discourse, but I did want to bring that up because I felt like
Thank
this
you.
was a
Yeah.
perfect talking point, and something that you know ties into the uniqueness of our show, JP, with you being there for some of it, you know what I mean? And,
Hmm.
Kevin and I being like real hoop heads,
Yeah.
because I,
Yeah.
I saw that online. I said, oh, we got to talk about that. I could listen. I wasn't even there for it live, but I couldn't stand for that, bro. Dr. J is the man.
Oh yeah, man. And this is what makes Generations of the Game real dope. Because I'm the old head. I'm 54 years old. You guys, Kev, how old are you? You like in your late 20s, right? Early 30s?
Yeah, 27.
20. See, this is what I'm talking about. He's 27. I'm 54. Will is 35.
Hmm.
This is different generations here talking, but as you see, we vibe on everything basically. Like with basketball, it doesn't matter how old a person is. I hear like some of these old heads, oh, these young guys don't know what they talking about, whatever. Nah, if a young guy understands hoops, and look at Kev, he's 27, he understands the history of basketball. Will clearly understands the history of basketball. This is why we vibe. This is why we don't have them old dudes and young dudes type of debates where they go back and forth, because we all appreciate basketball regardless of what era it comes from. A lot of y'all out there want to compare and talk about top five this, top five that. This player couldn't play in this era, and that player couldn't play in this era, instead of accepting them as basketball players and the greatness that they show. That's the problem is with a lot of people, the lack of communication. So yeah, I give this era of basketball its props. A lot of people don't, but I do. It's a great product as far as I'm concerned. So so be it. But anyway, let's move on now. Where do y'all want to go? College or high school next?
Let's
So
go high
college.
school because that'll be quicker.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right, high school. Okay, we got to discuss this class of 2026. All right, Kev, I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna give you my top five players. In no order, of course. Christian Collins, Jason Crow, Jordan Smith, Tyron Stokes, and what's my man out in Arizona? Williams is going to do.
Cameron
Cameron
Williams.
Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are my top five. Now, out of those top five, I'm having a hard time who's number one between Tyron Stokes and Jordan Smith. It's like apples and orange. Okay, you might like the orange one day, you might like the apple the next day. Bruh. These two dudes are having, and also Jason Crow too. I mean, don't get it twisted. All of them really, but the two that stand out to me is Stokes and Smith, man. And I have a hard time saying who is the number one player, because they both, I think, they separate themselves from the other ones. And like I said, a lot of scouts have said, "Oh, 2026 is lack star power." Nah, this is I think this is a good class, in my opinion. It captures you to guess. Who do you think is the best player, and how do you feel about the class of 26?
Man, I like it. I think it's a bunch of nice, solid players. I think it's a lot of dudes that are going to translate to both the NBA and college level, especially obviously going into next year. Me personally, it's tough because I do like Tyron Stokes, but I think the two for me that jump off the page immediately is Jordan Smith, of course, who's from the DMV, currently goes to, Paul VI, headed to Arkansas, just committed to John Calipari. So I think that's a match made in heaven. We've seen what Darius Acuff is doing this year. He's having a crazy. I know we'll talk about that, but a lot of people would mention Anthony Thompson too. The big time forward. He's headed to play Ohio State, small forward. He's from the state of Ohio too. So, but me, I like Bruce Branch the third, and he was originally in the class of 2027, and he just reclassified to 2026, and he's starting to take visits different places here and there. But a 6'7" wing, just super creative and crafty off the dribble. He really has no limitation to his game. He gets to his mid-range pull-ups. He gets to the rim. He's strong, great in transition. He does a lot of great things. Can play defensively too. He's down there, prolific prep. I think he's going to be the dude, honestly. I think when he gets to the league, he's going to be the dude that separates and takes off from the rest of the crop. But it's a lot of talented players. We already know. Shout out to Inglewood's own Jason Crow, headed to play for Dennis Gates next year at Mizzou. Again, you got Tyran Stokes. Pretty sure he's probably going to end up at Kansas playing for Bill Self. We'll see how that goes, but definitely, wishing the best for him. But I think it's overall just a nice, solid class. I know people like to judge and grade classes based off star power, but I think depth is far more important. I think, quality is way better over quantity. So, me personally, I think class of 2026 is going to be a really good one.
I think so too. Also, man, look, we ain't talk about Brandon McCoy. Brandon McCoy is a very good player. He's number one player in his class at one point during his freshman sophomore year. And then we talk about my man's been hurt all this year. He's going to Maryland. Who you say? Ola. Yeah, Baba. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was hurt all year. He probably be in the conversation too. It's going to be a solid class. Will, what do you think, bro?
So, I'm not going to do a whole top 5, but I definitely have Jordan at 1 for me over Tyron. I just feel like every time I watch him, he jumps off the screen. And the higher stakes of the game, the higher his game goes. And seeing him drop, what was it, damn near 40 with no threes. That's like a throwback, man. He's a gamer. He got a hell of a record in high school. Of course, he played a very talented team, but still, like, he's the engine that makes it go. To be honest with you, Kev, like, you're right. That's a match made in heaven with Cal. That class, like, because of what Duke is doing, that class is not getting his due, bro. JJ Andrews, Abdul Torre, and now Jordan. Cal got some dogs coming in. My goodness, man. To be honest, like, this is gonna be like the old Cal, teams where guys that maybe will want to come back is going to leave because these 3 is really coming to snatch somebody's chain.
Right.
But Cameron Williams is tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he can be more consistent, like, he's definitely, a problem. But Kansas got a good class with Tay Kenny, and potentially Tyron. We don't know for sure, but it looks like it's going that way. And Duke, they seem like they got unlimited bread, to be honest with you. But a kid that isn't really in the top 5, JP, that you mentioned that should be, is Crow. I mean, what he scored, like 4,000 points in high school.
Yeah.
And then a guy that was getting a lot of publicity early in the year, but it kind of died down some. I'm still a big fan of Rippy, man. Rippy Jr. That kid really has it factor, man.
Yeah. I was going to say Christian Collins, I like him a lot too. Like I said, he's 6'10", between 6'9" and 6'11", I guess. But he has handles. He can shoot from the outside. He's definitely a solid. Like I said, he'd be in my top 5 as well, man. But yeah, this is a pretty good. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, I just want to throw this name out there real quick. I don't know if he's top 5. I don't know if he'll be the best player from this class, but Colbin Landrew, who's down there at Wheeler High School in Atlanta, the 6th wing, had to play Danny Hurley at UConn next year. He's going to be a problem. We know, Danny Hurley got 2 quick chips at UConn. He's still doing this thing. Look like they could potentially get a 3rd one this year. Colbin Landrew, remember that name. He is a problem. And again, he's down there at Wheeler. We know that's one of the more prominent high schools down there in the A. So definitely keep him.
Now, he's a guard?
He's more like a wing. He could play the guard. I mean, he does a little bit of everything, to be honest. But he kind of reminds me of like the Thompson twins. But he has a jumper, and he's crazy athletic too. So I don't know if he's going to be at that level, but I'm just saying for him translating heading to the Big East next year, he's going to be an issue. So definitely, keep an eye out for Colbin Landrew.
You know who he sounds like to me? He might be another Stephen Castle.
Potentially.
He might be another Stephen Castle because Stephen Castle was from the Atlanta area too. And remember, he was overshadowed his senior year by the kid, what's his name, Wheeler. Remember Wheeler? I mean, he was overshadowed by him. But Stephen, Wheeler's I forgot where he's at now. I think he may be with Utah or somebody, but Stephen Castle wound up being a better prospective player. So, you gotta look at that too, man. But
Oh, you talking about Collier?
Yeah, Isaiah Collier.
Yeah,
what am I
yeah,
saying?
yeah. I had to
Collier,
think for a second. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, Collier was considered, him and Wagner were considered 1 and 2 players in the country. But speaking of which, Arkansas, I mentioned this during the pre-show. I don't think nobody's rising up to the draft boards like the way Billy Richmond is doing right now with Arkansas. Of course, me and Will, we're very familiar with him, being that he played at Camden. We transferred him from Memphis, but his last 2 years he played at Camden High School in Camden, New Jersey. Which Will goes to some of the games, I go to some of the games and stuff. So we've seen him. And let me tell you something, man. He might be the best athlete in the country right now. I think, me personally, he keeps up this play, and depending on what he does in the NCAA tournament, he could be looking at being a top 7 or top 8 pick, in my opinion, especially with that jump shot if he keeps it going. Kev, what do you feel about Billy Richmond and his future heading to the NBA, man?
Man, he has developed so much these past few years under Cal, and I think now his confidence is starting to, just put him over the edge. And, when you playing with supreme confidence, it's nothing that anybody could do to you to make you fall off that hill. And you seen him hitting jumpers. I thought when you look at that Alabama game, that was one of the best games of the season, right? Darius Acuff had 50. LeBaron Fallon, I think, had damn near 40. But Billy Richmond made a lot of plays in that game. He was just everywhere. Activity off the ball, getting steals, getting deflections, blocking shots, pushing a break. He does a little bit of everything. He rebounds. So I think he's really the key for this Arkansas team. And again, Darius Acuff is a stud. He's one of the best point guards. He's probably the best point guard at the college level right now. And, Cal, we know Cal going to get the top talent. We never deny that. I think Cal at this point is the greatest recruiter of all time. I think he's been that for a while now. And he just continues to show it year by year. And Arkansas is going to be a third again. I mean, last year they kind of struggled. It was his first year in a new situation, but they got to the NCAA tournament and they got to the Sweet 16. They probably should have beat Texas Tech to get to the Elite Eight and potentially knock off Florida. So, Cal is doing an amazing job. And I think when you look at this team, you just got to lose. And you look at the front court, Malik Ewing starting to play better. So, Trayvon Brazil's always been a solid player in the SEC. So, yeah, man, they're going to be a scary team to look out for. And then I'll even say, too, with DJ could be another dude that could just take them to a whole other tier, in my opinion. I think they're a national championship team, but as long as DJ just stays confident, they could do whatever. Now, I'll finish off by saying Malik Thomas deserves a lot more love, not just for the player that he is, but especially as a prospect heading into the NBA draft, because I know Acuff gets the spotlight, but when Malik is playing at the level that he is, they form one of the best backcourts in the country. So Malik Thomas is an issue. Shout out to Pittsburgh. And he gets buckets in a variety of different ways, and he's clutch as I don't know what. So Arkansas, they a problem.
I agree. I'm gonna tell you right now, they could win it all. They got the talent to win it all. And like you said, that perimeter with like you said, you're big on perimeter play. You got to be big on perimeter play in the NCAA tournament, because that 3-headed monster that they have with Acuff, with Thomas and Wagner, they're a problem. They are a problem. Like you said, Brazil, he's a tough player. The Malik kid, he's getting better, as you say. Billy Richmond, you thought, man, look, that team could win it all. That team could, because they're athletic, they're fast, they played a tough schedule. They're going to be battle tested when they get to the NCAA tournament. Arkansas is probably going to be my dark horse to win it all. They might, depending on who the draw is, who they get. A lot of teams are going to want to see them in the NCAA tournament. I'm telling you that right now. Will, what do you think about Arkansas?
Well, Arkansas is tough, man. They got a variety of different players that can, go off any game. We know Acuff is at the top of the scouting report right now, but Thomas is a bucket, has been. Billy, to be honest with you, I know in hindsight, it's easy to say Acuff, but Billy is probably the player that I wanted at Kentucky the most out of the guys that Cal took to Arkansas, because he was a sure thing, at that time coming to Kentucky. But you know, his athleticism, his hustle, because he has skill, but like he plays hard, man, and that's something that in this day and age, man, like it's rare. So it stands out, you know. I'm a big fan of Billy. I feel like, like you said, JP, we've been watching him for years, and his games continue to grow, man. Ewan, I know it was a lot of people hype about him transferring there, and we didn't always see that the appeal of that early on, but he's rounded in the form, man. And we know that the SEC is a different beast than the talent he played against on a regular at Florida State. But overall, man, Cal, this is like legitimately a Cal team this year, and
It does.
they do have a chance to really make some noise, man. I think they will, to an extent. I don't know that it's like Final Four or chip, but they're dangerous, and I'm happy for Cal, man. I think that as much as two things can be true, and that maybe, you know, the last few seasons at Kentucky weren't the greatest. I also, feel like you don't necessarily run, a Hall of Fame coach, out of town. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's my 2 cents there. But um man, like and DJ DJ has a role like when DJ is engaged and playing with that spark, it takes Arkansas to
Mhm.
another level, and
Mhm.
um any team can use the type of grit and the chip that he plays with, so I hope that he has a great March because, to be honest, man, like, and we talked about it, Kev, and JP too. Like, I truly think that DJ, because of his name and the ranking he had in high school, he gets a lot of hate. But
Yeah.
people forget that he was turning the corner at Kentucky until he rolled his ankle,
Mhm.
and from there, you know he just wasn't the same. And it's not to say he would have been guaranteed to be this all-time player or anything like that. But look, kid was hitting game winners, being a very productive player, you know what I'm saying? Like, and the lights were really starting to come on for him. And then he got hurt, and we've seen it
Mhm.
happen, but when you're not, in the top 1% athletically, and then you get an injury like that, man, it's tough. And he's a tough kid, so he played anyway, and that was part of it too. But shout out to DJ, man. I respect anybody that's still chasing their dream, man. And he's still doing that, and the story's not over. So I would love to see
Mhm.
him prove a lot of those haters wrong. You know, and to be honest, like just continue to hoop, man, as long as he wants to do so.
Look, as I say, there will never be no Wagner slander on this podcast. Definitely not no Wagner slander. And I agree, man. First off, DJ's a great kid. That's the first thing. You haven't seen him crying or complaining coming off the bench or anything like that there. He wants to be a team player. And I wish him the best too, man. Because a lot of these people who sitting on their sofas and stuff, sitting back there drinking beer, looking like Homer Simpson, are the ones that got the most to say about DJ and everything, man. And it's a shame, and he is a solid player. And regardless, at the NIL deal and everything, he gonna be financially set. Gets his degree and everything. He's good. He's doing better than the average person even with that if he doesn't make the league. And I think he will make the league one day. I think he will, and maybe be a productive player. I mean, but I don't understand this hate they have for a kid who's never done anything to anybody. And as you said, Will, all he wants to do is live out his dream. That's all he's doing. He comes from a family of greatness, and people should be rooting for the kid. He never did anything to anybody. You ever heard him say not one bad word about anybody, but yet and still, like you said, people continue to hate on this kid, man. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. So that's what I have with that. We got to talk about Kev's Michigan State Spartans. We got to talk about Michigan State, and we got to talk about Mr. Fears. Mr. Fears, man. Oh, first off, did they win tonight?
They did
Yes,
one by
sir.
two in Mackey Arena.
First of
I
all,
think.
JP,
First
real
time in
quick.
12 years.
Wow.
JP, talking about Michigan State, we do have to correct one thing you said, brother. Listen, Billy is a hell of an athlete, but Michigan State got the best one in the country, brother.
Man, I was gonna say that.
I forgot about Mr. Carr. I forgot about Mr.
Yeah,
Carr.
man.
I forgot about Mr. Carr. I'm sorry. Why do I think Mr. Carr graduated? I've seen him play too. That's a shame.
He's still there.
He had a nasty breakaway windmill tonight.
Mm-hmm.
What year is Mr. Carr in? What year is Carr in?
Junior, he got one more.
Well, is he good enough to come out for the NBA draft, you think?
He got to add a little bit more to his game. Like he's more of like a inside oriented player. He needs to get a little better on the perimeter when it comes to just handling the ball. He could pass it, and his jumper is slowly but surely getting better. He still got a ways to go with that, but I think he'll be back for another year. And I think obviously after senior year, he'll head to the NBA and be a solid player. But I mean, he's right there on the brink of just becoming like a surefire NBA player, in my opinion.
Man, you're right, man. Athletically, man, it's crazy the stuff that he does, man. And we got to talk about Mr. Fears. Mr. Fears is definitely going to the NBA, bro. He definitely going into the NBA, man. He's going. I think he's a top 15 pick in my opinion. He should be a lottery pick. What do you think, Kev?
Lottery? I mean, that's my point guard. I love him to death, but it's some good point guards that's going.
It's some great point guards. It's some great point guards.
You got Darius Acuff. I'm a huge advocate for Kingston Flemings. I think Kingston Flemings is a stud down there at Houston.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mikael Brown Jr.
Yeah. That's why I say he could be on the back end of the lottery.
Yeah.
You know, 15 and 18 pick. Those names you named, Flemings and Acuff and Malik Brown and all them. I mean, we know they're going before him, but you know, he could sneak into that fourth or fifth, point guard spot. You know.
No, I definitely think he should definitely, test the NBA draft order. I mean, he's leading the country in assists. He's completely elevated our team. He's averaging like 15 points a game, I believe, and he's just been hitting timely shot after timely shot. I just think his confidence. I mean, y'all know our program. We always have like big time lead point guards, and he's just the next and newest iteration of that under Coach Izzo. So, I think he's the best point guard in the Big Ten. I think he's easily a top 3 point guard in the country, and he does it all too. He does it on both ends of the floor too. Not a lot of point guards do that either. So, I'm taking him over a lot of dudes in my opinion.
You know what happens when March comes with Izzo. You know what happens when March comes. March turns into something different. I don't care if he comes into the tournament with a team that's 15 and 10. That could turn around. That team get to the Final Four. You never know with Izzo, man. Definitely one of the best coaches of all times, man. Let's also talk about Michigan, man, because last week they played Duke. And in my opinion, I'm not going to say it was like that. There was some questionable calls, I think, in that Michigan-Duke game, too. You should never blame it. You should never put the game in the referee's hands. Definitely shouldn't do that because they didn't make you shoot 4 for 18 in the second half. They shot 4 for 18 at one point in the second half. But Michigan is going to be tough. I think Kudo is a key to them getting as far as them maybe even cutting down the nets. He has to be more consistent than what he is. He has to. He has the talent, and he is a very, very solid point guard. But what's his name? Lundenberg and the other 7'3" center they have.
Axel Lindenberg.
And Ade Mara.
Yeah, man, that inside stuff, man. That inside stuff. But I was surprised how Duke went on the inside on them. And Duke played well. That might be the best game they played all year. It's a talented team. But Michigan's going to be tough. Kev, what do you think about Michigan and them possibly winning the national championship?
I mean, I know they're my rival, so it's tough to get them love. But when you look at what they've done this year, I mean, it's about to be March, and they only have 2 losses on the season, right? To Texas Tech, where Christian Anderson just went ballistic in the Madison Square Garden. And then, of course, they lost a couple weeks ago in Chapel Hill, where Caleb Wilson went off and Seth Trimble hit the dagger. But, I mean, Duke and Michigan are both right there. But I think Michigan, when you look at them, I agree with you. Elliot Cadeau is the straw that drink, and he can't be sporadic. I mean, he just has a history of being up and down, and you never know what you're going to get from him on a game-to-game basis. But honestly, this year he's been playing well. But I think when you look at that front court, the front court to me is what really sets them apart. And I think when you look at the recent national champions and really just, going back in way back in history, however far you want to go back, I think when you have multiple big men that can guard on the perimeter and rebound at a high level, you give yourself a chance to win at the highest of levels. And Michigan has that with the Diamara, Perez Johnson, Yaxel Lenderborg, even Will Cheddar to a lesser extent. So, then you have vets like, LJ Kaysen back in his second year. You got Roddy Gale, second year in the program. You got Amari Burnett, who's been there for a few years now too. So they just have a lot of quality pieces. I mean, they can go 9 deep, and that's scary. And they just got bodies, and they defend at a high level. So, yeah, Michigan, I can't wait to see them again in a couple of weeks. We play them, I believe, in Ann Arbor. I don't know if it's a Saturday or Sunday, whenever the case is, but it's the last game of the Big Ten play for us and them. So I'm looking forward to that one. But, yeah, Michigan, they're stacked, man. I give Bessie man a lot of credit. This is year 2, and he took them from, the Sweet 16 last year in his first year to this year. They can win it all and cut down the nets in Indiana.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. Will, what do you think? You're on mute, I think, good brother.
You're right, brother. I was fighting that mute button. That's amazing. Another great example of why the right coaching hire matters. He had a program, looking decent, what I'm saying, in year 1, but look at, he took year 1, he used that to get the booster, or the donor, faith and trust. And now look, what I'm saying, what he did now that, the floodgates were open, bringing in Morrow, who you can say, look, nothing like this at UCLA. You know what I'm saying? Yaxel was a good player, but now, he looks like one of the most dominant Swiss Army knife players in the country. You know what I'm saying? You got an interesting collection of guys that really, a chunk of them either weren't as highly regarded or, they played at other stops and they kind of, some people may say underwhelmed or they just didn't do what people thought they would do. So they kind of have, it's almost like a us against the world type of, like mentality and chip fueling them. And then every team really that's kind of doing their thing is either led by, just guys that's been, grinding and getting better year after year, with a blend of transfers and, usually a good freshman thrown in here and there. And, Trey McKinney is an impact player, from day one. And they're just dominant, man. Like I will say they I think what we're seeing from Michigan now is what like they really are. Because early on, man, it was some people like, is this the best team we've ever seen? Like, no, let's relax. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're talented. Yes, they flat out beat the shit out of some teams early on, but like they're a very good team. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not these unbeatable, guys or anything like that. But I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I just think they're gonna make March interesting.
Yeah, they will. I think they will too. I mean, come on, it's about all-time great teams. I mean, you had UNLV, Georgetown. I mean, you had UCLA back. Come on, man. People just come prisoner of the moment sometime, man. Indiana went undefeated in 76. I mean, there's been some great teams. Hell, I don't think they're better than the UConn team from 2 years ago with Clenningham and Castle in there.
Yep.
I mean, they're a very good team. And to be honest with you, the next team we're going to talk about is Arizona. Arizona can go. Let me tell you something, man. They're tough. Bradley, they have a complete team. So you better look out for them as well. Of course, Duke. And by the way, let's talk about who do you think is better? AJ DeSponsa, Darren Peter. If you were a general manager, you had the number 1 pick. Kev, we're going to start with you. Between Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, and AJ DeSponsa, who would you take?
This one is tough for me, man, because we all know, a lot of the conversation surrounding Darren Peterson right now. Luckily he's played majority of his minutes that he's supposed to play the last 2 games when they lost, at home to Cincinnati, and then they just knocked off Houston. I believe that was Monday night. So he's been playing more recently, but AJ's been killing. And again, I know BYU just struggled last night. They got smacked on their home floor to UCF. They had a major injury, Richie Saunders going down, so their season's kind of derailed right now. But AJ just makes the game look so effortless. And I think, you can make a case he's the best player in college basketball right now. I mean, again, I know, you look at Darius Akov as point guard, you look at Cam Boozer as a power forward, JT Topham before he went down with the ACL, but AJ DeBensa just he's just the prototypical wing that you want to lead your franchise. I think as easy as he makes the game look, he has long strides. He's got the post game, the back to the basket game. He can size you
Mhm.
up. He understands how to attack closeouts. He's a dynamic finisher at the rim, and he can pull up from
Mhm.
anywhere. He's a mismatch. So I think the more that I watch him, I mean, I've been watching for a long time, just like everybody else, but for some reason, I just can't fully look over Darren Peterson. And I still think, me personally, I'm taking Darren Peterson one. He's another dude where the game just looks effortless. And again, he's not as big as AJ. He's more 6'6" ish, but
Mhm.
just his ability to score at will without using that many dribbles just jumps off the page to me. Like you could, like to me, I compare him to Rip Hamilton, but when people say that, they think I'm disrespecting
Ooh.
him or Rip Hamilton.
Ooh.
And it's not that he's exactly like Rip Hamilton because he definitely has more off the dribble. But in terms of just playing off the ball, running through screens, you could put Darren anywhere. The moment he catches the ball, he's liable to score it from anywhere on the floor. So I think
Yeah.
I'm still in Darren. And I love AJ. It's tough. Again, I love Darius Acuff. I love Caleb Wilson, Cam Boozer. There's a lot of dogs in this class. But me personally, I just can't let go of Darren Peterson. I think as we start to see this season round out with him at
Mhm.
Kansas, you're going to see Darren Peterson kind of arise to the conversation and understand why NBA GMs still hold him in high regard.
Right. 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 Well, what do you think?
I mean, I think Darren has shown for sure that he's tough, man. I think to get a fair evaluation on Darren, you got to watch his high school tape because
Oh man.
I don't think that we've seen Darren healthy this whole season. You know, just
Mm-mm.
being honest, and that says a lot about his talent, though. That he's
Mhm.
gritted out the type of performances he has in limited minutes, and I'm looking at it different than most people. They're like, oh, he don't love a game, he don't want to play, bro. He's
Damn, man.
cooking in 15, 18 minutes, like you know what I mean. Um, Kev, real quick, bro, I love a Rip Hamilton reference, man. People don't. I think Rip Hamilton is one of the players. Rip Hamilton and Antoine Jameson is another one for me that tells me a lot about how much basketball a player or a person has actually watched. Because like if you think those type of players is a disrespect,
Mhm.
then you don't know the game. Like I saw, for example, we're jumping around, but somebody compared Darius Acuff to Mike Bibby, like young Bibby. And no, listen, JP. Just remember that Bibby was the number 2 pick. So like that's what they're
Mhm.
saying. Like because somebody I won't name their name is saying that he is Stephon Marbury reincarnated, but he's not as athletic as Marbury to me. So I don't think that that's necessarily a fit. But I also don't think that he's Bibby. But I get what they're saying. Not a dominant athlete, but
Mhm.
shifty, can shoot it, stuff like that, right? But even that, what I'm saying with that is calling somebody, comparing somebody to a player that has played 15 years in the league, made 100 million in the league. You know what I'm saying? Like, and really start in a role like that's never disrespectful. You know what I mean? But like
Mhm.
the internet
Mhm.
will make you think it is. And that's really all I'm getting at. But Darren, this is the first draft in a while that you know as far as the media, they always try to make it seem like it's competitive, but this is the first year where you can argue that no matter who you pick, you're getting a hell of a player. One, two, three, it's like that, bro. Like, and of course, it's deeper than that. But like, if you
Mhm.
get Aaron,
Mhm.
if you get Cam, if you get AJ, like you're set. You know what I'm saying? And for me personally, I think you got to go AJ one because he's 6'9", he might be 6'10", and what he can do, you can't find that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so far, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's played like every game.
Mhm.
Availability is the best ability at the end of the day. And then Cam, same thing. But with Cam is disrespected at this point because Cam Boozer has
Yeah.
the best resume of a young player. In my like JP, we've talked about on the show a lot of times since Kareem. You can argue, like I
Yeah.
believe four straight high school championships.
Mhm.
He's won every summer championship. You know what I'm saying? Like he's won gold medals. Like what's the last championship he didn't win?
Right. He all-time winner, man. All-time winner. And his high school resume is up there as good as anybody's
Hmm.
in history, you know? So yeah, man, look, he's a monster. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be mad getting him to the pick too. You know, Kev, what do you think about that's right, we already talked to you about that. That's right, we let off with that. What am I doing? You can tell I'm getting a little sleepy. You can tell.
Oh, yeah, this is why we about to finish up, brother. But
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had to talk about this, man, because this is one of them
Oh,
ones, bro. Like where I think that some people like I think Darren is being picked apart unfairly, and really all of them are, but it's for different reasons. Like Cam, it's like fatigue. He's been dominant for so long. AJ, they gotta make it competitive in their minds. You know what I'm saying? Like I even
mhm.
saw somebody making a pitch that A Cuff could go number one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Ooh.
and that's
And, and,
interesting.
and and maybe
Hell
in
of a
some other
player,
years,
but
maybe in some other years he would go number one, but with this class,
yeah, man,
no. And
we
I
got
hear people say this is the best class ever. Wait a minute, and I got to say, wait a minute now. It's a great class, but 79, that class of 79, man, was special. Especially when you had James Worthy, Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins. You had Clark Kellogg. See, y'all know Clark Kellogg, the analyst. Clark
Clark
Kellogg
was
was
out,
nasty back
bro.
in the day.
Clark was
Ralph
out.
Sampson. You had Sam Bowie. People forget about Sam Bowie. The reason why Sam Bowie went over Michael, people are so idiotic. Reason why Sam Bowie went number two over Michael Jordan was because Sam Bowie's supposed to be a projected star neither. Neither. I mean, as well. Remember, he was 7'1". He could shoot the ball inside, outside. He just had the foot problems and stuff. And if you looked at it potentially, we didn't know Michael Jordan was going to be Michael Jordan, but potentially Sam Bowie was going to be a dominant player in the NBA if he was healthy, which he never was. He would have been a perennial all-star. So you got to remember we had Sam Bowie in that class. I'm slipping on a few others too, but I know at the top, you had like at least 5 Hall of Famers right there.
Yeah,
So to
JP,
me, that
real
was
quick, bro. I don't,
yeah,
I don't want to get off topic, but speaking of players that he had a better career than Bowie, of course, but talk about players impacted by injury, bro. Real quick, again, with you being an elder statesman right now, can you
yeah.
speak to what Ralph Sampson was, bro? Because I feel like he gets lost in history.
Oh man, Ralph Sampson, when healthy, Ralph Sampson was a dominant player. He was a dominant player. I don't think he had no for his era. He would be perfect in today's game because his game would be a little different than today. I still think Wemby has a little more of a bag than what Ralph had. He's a better shooter. Wemby was. Shot blocking, Ralph Sampson was very elite, but I think Wemby may be a tad bit better. But they do have a lot of similarities. Of course, Wemby's ball handling skills. I mean, they're guard like. So, I think he gets it, but then again, it's the era that Ralph Sampson came up in. But Ralph Sampson, prime Ralph Sampson, when he was completely healthy, he was a dominant player. He was easily 22, 25 point scorer, gives you like 10, 11 rebounds, like 2 blocks a game. Ralph Sampson was that dude, man, definitely.
Facts,
Smooth.
appreciate that, bro. I see, I
Redeemed
seen
legend.
clips of him. You know what I'm saying? Like on a fast break,
Smooth,
hitting
yeah.
these crossovers and stuff. But
Crazy.
like to like you saw like full games. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
honestly, we were robbed, man, because like a fully healthy Ralph and Hakeem, good lord, man, like.
It had been something. I mean, you see, they went to the championship within 2 years of Olajuwon being there.
Mhm.
They were going to do some great things, man. So injuries got hold of Ralph, man. But he was special. He was definitely a special player, man. And in college basketball, he's one of the most impactful players ever. He's a 3-time player of the year. Three
Yeah,
times. That was the golden age of college
that's unheard
basketball
of,
for
bro.
me.
Nowadays, you'll never see that shit again.
But that was the golden age of college basketball. For me, to me, the 80s was the golden age of basketball, period. Whether you
Bro,
talk about college,
JP,
high
man,
school, or the club.
we got a good product now, man, but it was nothing like when they had to pay kids under the table, bro, and give them cars and
Ain't
shit.
that crazy? Ain't that crazy? If they came up nowadays, how much money would they be giving Ralph Sampson nowadays?
Man,
It'd be
bro,
crazy.
they would have to back the Brinks truck up to his house.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I mean, that was a great class. But this 2026 draft is going to be deep. It's going to, like you said, anywhere from 1 to 10, even maybe further back than that. You're going to get a very good player.
And there's gonna be players that fall, you know, that's still gonna be like, a hell of a get, man. Like, a guy like Christian Anderson, depending on where he ends up on draft night,
Mm-hmm.
um, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like just so many guys, man. Like Fears, like I think Fears is gonna probably now, I'm not saying he's better than or anything, but like because I feel like where he might get picked, he might end up
Mm-hmm.
being like one of the best value guards out of the draft. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna have probably 5 ish point guards. You possibly go before him. You know what I'm saying? Like so, by the time a player with his competitive spirit, with his talents, ends up on a competitive team instead of a lottery team. Look, man, we seen that story. We
We
seen,
see, we,
you
we
know.
see, we see the story, and I'm not going to harp on that. What's up about that when March Madness comes around? Who the teams are going to be? Kev, you got to come back for that one.
For sure.
You know who we're going to have and stuff. Maybe we'll do. Maybe we'll definitely do one. Man, when is March Madness kick off? That Thursday?
Yeah, it's usually like in the middle of the month. I think it's like
Yeah,
I want to say it's like the 15th. I could be wrong though.
I was going to say maybe we could even do a special show pre-March Madness and reveal our final four picks. Like maybe we
So
could do that on a Wednesday night before the real big stuff happens on Thursday or something. Will, if you with that, maybe on Wednesday night we could do it, our final four picks and stuff like that.
Oh no, listen, bro. We gotta make it happen for March Madness, brother, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, just the best time of the year, man. It's the best time of the year. So, definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, y'all, let's wrap this show up, man. Kev, I ain't got to say it, bro. You part of the inner circle here, good brother. Always
yeah,
give us great insight. Like I said, real great basketball head, real great basketball minds and stuff. So, Kev, shout out your social media for the folks out there who don't know.
yeah, you can follow my Twitter, my Instagram at Kev Luke the Great, KEVLUKE, excuse me, THAGREAT, and then subscribe to the podcast Talking Hoops with Kev Luke. You already know, man. I appreciate y'all again for having me. Dope show, great episode. Looking forward to the March Madness one.
Always good, bro. You still got the fro, bro? Or you just
Yeah, I
hiding it out
do.
tonight,
Yeah,
bro?
I'm just hiding it right now, but I do.
You still got the fro going. You still got the old ABA fro going. Yeah, man, definitely.
Hey man, Kev like Samson from the Bible, bro. He lose that fro, he stopped talking hoop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Fro's a staple, man.
Oh, man, that's right. That's right. That's a bad shit. I wish I had hair. I might have an afro too. Nobody can saw pepper. Shit, you never know. A salt and pepper afro. You never know. They look like Cordell West.
Oh man.
Oh man. Nah, but we'll kick you shout outs, good brother.
Oh man, of course, man. Shout out to the homie Kev, man. Whenever we reach out, bro, always available. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the rest of the homies, that we'll circle back and bring on for the March Madness kickoff. Shout out to my co-host JP. You know what I'm saying? Without you, brother, there's no generations. It's just a millennial, talking shit. So appreciate you. I mean, shout out to the fans and shout out to all of the hoopers, and we will have to circle back when we do the March Madness specific episode and really get into the women's side as well, because that has been more, honestly a little more electric, you know what I'm saying, minus Juju not being there. So yeah, shout out to all these hoopers, man. We're really enjoying it. It's our time, JP.
Hey, it's the best time of the year. It's like between March
Facts.
and April, it's Christmas for me. Track and field indoors winding down, outdoors becoming. NFL draft is here. It's Christmas time almost. So we're looking forward to some real big sports things happening over these next couple months and stuff. And everything. And like you said, it begins with March Madness. So on behalf of my boy Will, Kev, we say to y'all peace, and we'll see you all on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.
Man.